Hey people, it's your new moon reading for the 16th of May. I am actually really tired. I overdid things a lot yesterday. Today I was just feeling like someone had beaten me with a stick, and also my rosacea flared up, which tends to be the kinds of things that happen when I overdo shit. But that being what it is, I'm going to do this anyway. um, Anybody who knows me, knows this channel, knows that nothing here is polished or put together or whatever. What you get is what you get. So I'm going to do a 3-card reading. I'm using this deck. I will put a link for it. This deck is a lot of fun. I'm not big into the whole cannabis culture. I can't get demonetized. I'm not monetized. I'm saying it like it is. I I microdose. I have some little mints here that I like to use. Never have the fun of getting high. It's for pain, anxiety, depression, insomnia. That's what I'm working on, those things. But I love the descriptions in the booklet. They are so funny. It's really cheeky. If you want kind of a irreverent deck, this is the deck for you. It's fun. All right, so our first card, the past influence, the Emperor, and I gotta read you their description because it's real fun. Okay, so for the light influence, rather I don't do reversed cards. So I'm gonna speak on both the light and shadow influences. This is the light influence. Um, Sativa Bud represents the Emperor in this deck, what with its associations with power, action, and virility. We're talking maturity and wisdom, rulership, and ambition. This is a welcome sign that things are looking up. Be fully present so you can experience it. Now, on the shadow side, naturally, the qualities turned on their heads can wreak havoc. Are you exerting too much control over people, places, and things that aren't yours to manage? Are you bogarting things that you oughtn't? Don't let your ego rule the show. My son and I have talked about this a fair bit, and I've also spoken about it with my son's dad, my ex-husband. Um, my family, my father in particular, wanted people to follow a certain script idea that he had in his head about them. And when they didn't do that, he would try and push them without, consulting with them about how did this idea he have work for their lives, because sometimes it just didn't. And, when you're like that, it creates contention between you and other people. I learned the hard way that I could not be scripting other people's lives. And, sometimes people are, um, especially like with your children, might be a different person than the child you were dreaming about, thinking, well, they could do this, they could do that. Um, my son, when he was younger, was a decent soccer player. I'm not gonna say he was star quality or anything. He might have been able to become, but he just wasn't interested in it. For him, it was recreational, and that's all he ever wanted to be. My father really wanted him to go competitive, and he just wasn't interested in doing that. And the more my father pushed, the more he was just like, Shh, I just don't even want to play soccer anymore. So, sorry, I need to try not to wreck things here. I need to reach for my chapstick. It is so dry here. We're in this mega drought. I just keep sucking down fluids and got the chapstick, of course, and it's not chapstick, it's Bonnie Bell lip smackers. I'll put a link for those too, because they're nice. I was using those when I was 10 years old. So they were around when Tyrannosauruses were stalking people. Anyway, so yeah, this card is about being a leader, your own leadership qualities, and who I'm trying to learn to lead is myself, because I was just, I've just kind of been flying by the seat of my pants all my life. And, also, I grew up during the time of excess, the 80s. It's interesting decade. It kind of makes me laugh or feel dismay when people romanticize that era, because I lived it. And honey, it was not just the, neon lights and poofy hairdos and cool music. I found a lot of the fashions really laughable, if we're honest. But it wasn't just that. It wasn't just that party aesthetic, kind of thing. It was actually really fucking dystopian in a lot of ways, growing up during that period. Because, we're in the Cold War when, the term Cold War kid, you're looking at one. Um, just kind of always wondering when some fucknut is gonna decide that it's time to start World War III and nuke everything. Oh, hey, we haven't changed at all, have we? I'm kind of wondering that more than ever. Um, but we're not going to make this all political. It's too depressing, and I can't drink, and I don't use enough of the good green in um, lozenge form or edible form. I don't smoke or vape, and that's just me. I'm not saying one way or the other on that. I don't know. I gotta laugh because I'll just implode. It wouldn't be pretty. So that's the past influence. Um, for me, it's kind of, the emperor. All right, the emperor. My father. So it's a father's influence. I'm used to things being a mirror image, so I'm like, anyway. So yeah, just seeing that now. My father's influence on me, the emperor's influence. I actually got some good stuff from my father, but I also got some real shit stuff from my father. Um, what I got from him that was good was my love for stories, for the written word, for, reading stories, analyzing film, pop culture. He was a professor of literature and the humanities. He designed and taught courses like, film interpretation. At the time he was teaching that course, of course, it was films like The Matrix would have been what he was examining. And, actually, one time he and I had some very interesting discussions about Iron Maiden's lyrics, which I wouldn't have expected, but he was actually very interested, and sometimes he surprised me. And if that's the person I was dealing with the whole time, um, I wouldn't have. I don't think my anxiety would be as bad as it is, because that's on the dark side. What I got from my father is just that kind of constant red alert about everything. I also learned this real black and white thinking that I had to unlearn because it was destroying me. You think I'm high strung now. You didn't know me 40 years ago. Everybody kind of romanticizes being in their late teens and early 20s. Not me. I'd rather be this age and as fucked up as I am physically than to go back to being 21, because um, for as much as I deal with what we term in recovery disordered thinking, um, I am learning to recognize things like magical thinking, and I'm unlearning a lot of that, tendency to turn things inward and attack myself, because that tends to be what I'll do, especially when I feel like things aren't going right. So, think about the influences from your past, from your parents, with this card, particularly from your father, from the kind of, and well, I'm just going to say this up front. Um, I do come from a feminist perspective, and not the fun kind, not the express yourself, protest things by here's my tits. No, that's not feminism. That's, I mean, I'm not gonna tell you not to do it, but that's not how I roll. The and see, like, I don't want to be going and blaming men for everything, because there's a lot of decent men out there. There's a lot of shitty women out there. This is what I'm speaking of, is from a societal perspective, and from the societal perspective, the men have always been the ones in charge, and yeah. So here we are, where we are. The feminine is kind of brushed off and seen as, airy fairy, hippy dippy, whatever, no strength to it. And in fact, my father had some of these books like The Feminization of America. God. Well, anyway, he was not a Republican, he was a libertarian, and I'm not going to get into the whole here or there of that, but yeah, so he had some very definite ideas about gender roles. Women do this and men do that. And I will say the stereotype about he could grill stuff, but he couldn't cook worth a shit. That was true in his case. If my mother was ever ill enough where she wasn't able to do the cooking, says, please, let's have hamburgers, I beg of you. Even if it was cooked on the stove, that was okay. He did all right with hamburgers. We could do that. um, Anything else? No, we're not going to do that. But yeah, so you think about the paternal influence on your life, and from that, talking about the, hierarchy also of men to women and children, and how that affects you, and what we need to do to keep working to make things more equal and have actual respect for women, not just lip service. All right, I'm going to move into the present influence, and we have this good one. It's the Six Pipes. So the pipes, the suit of pipes. Remember, is the element of air, and it's the equivalent of the swords. So I've gotten this frickin' six of swords, pipes, whatever, from several decks this month. So I guess this is something I need to pay attention to. All right, I can read this because these are always fun. It's a time of transition, and you're no stranger to taking trips to unknown destinations. I did that more when I was younger and my body wasn't so fucked up. Anyway, sometimes a fresh start is the only option. Yeah, probably. I don't know, it's been a long time since I had one of those. Um, Rest assured, the universe rewards forward progress. Well, I guess it's forward progress, but it's very slow. But I'm stopping with the beating myself up because that isn't progress. Now, on the shadow side, letting go isn't just for cartoon princesses. It's absolutely essential to growth and progress, even if it requires a period of introspection and isolation to figure out how to go about it. Either you're holding on to the past or the past is holding on to you. Something's got to. I really hate it when the cards call me out. Yeah, I've been dealing since my mother's death with the way the past has affected me. And you can, if you go to my Substack, Naughty Netherworld Press.substack.com, and I guess I could try and remember, put that in the comments too. And a lot of it is focused on recovery, um, kind of specifically Eating Disorders Anonymous, but really for me, it's more specifically on my image of myself and respect for my body as it is, not as the magazine tells me it should be. I don't expect anyone is here looking at this video going, damn, what a babe. Um, and if you are, you're either an elderly man who likes chunky women, in which case, okay, dude, yeah, whatever. Or I don't know what's wrong with you, but you need to get that shit worked out. Oh, anyway, um, it took me a lot of years to learn that what I look like is not really where my worth is. And results may vary as to how much I'm able to absorb that on a given day, but we're here and it's now. And yeah, I need to keep working on the past influence on me, because I overdid things yesterday a lot and ended up feeling like I've been beat with a baseball bat and everything. And so I gotta stop doing that. But some ways I just feel kind of lost, so I'm working on it. So the future influence, the moon, she looked like she's up to something. Um, and yeah, this is like the close future. I don't really do year readings. These are 2 week readings when the influence. I do them on the new moon and the full moon, and I had kind of bigger aspirations in mind for this channel, but I don't have the energy. You get what you get. All right, star, the moon. Here she is. Okay, the moon sure looks mellow tonight, and with its reassuring visage, this card reminds us to trust our intuition. If something seems off, there's probably good reason for it. It also offers the reminder to mine our dreams for what our subconscious already knows too well. My dreams are a fucking mess. Um, Most of it's brain sweat. Um, I just all the stress. It's there when I'm asleep. So yeah, dealing with it, dealing with it. Let your senses take center stage. Shadow side. A reversed moon card asks whether you're being honest with yourself about your needs and desires. Probably not. I just want to write these, my my stories about my tales from the dreamlands. That's really what I want to do, but I end up writing these anthology stories. I don't know. I'm still dealing with burnout a lot. If you're feeling stuck, it's time to do something differently. So don't be afraid to examine old patterns. That's what this whole fucking reading's been about. Look at the old patterns, see? Aren't they fucked up? What are you gonna do about it, bitch? Anyway, so that's your little irreverent um, new moon reading. It's the uh here. Do some kind of an outro. I don't know what. I need to get my bedding out of the laundry. Got these nice sheets that I inherited from my father, basically, because that was on the bed in his room. And I had a realization, which is, since I have this mattress topper, the mattress is a full, but because of the mattress topper, I need to order sheets one size up and go with queen. I think we've got some other sheets still packed in some boxes around here, so before I go buying anything, I need to look around and see if we got some learning to kind of repurpose, reuse. And if you got like old sheets or stuff, old sheets that's all ratty and everything, don't throw them out. There's things you can use them for. I'm not encouraging like hoarding, which is actually something I do have a problem with. And I'm going to say it right here. Anybody who watches that hoarders show, you got to check yourself for your reasoning on that, because that is just such exploitation of a serious mental health problem. I just, god damn, fucking make a circus out of people suffering. I can't stand that kind of thing, and I will not hold back on saying so. Never watched that show. I refuse to watch it. Um, anyway, um, my environment doesn't doesn't look like that. Um, it's too much stuff that I'm trying to go through, and I'm overwhelmed by it sometimes. A lot of boxes around, and it's hard for me to get rid of stuff, and I'm being really straight up about this. Um, and looking into kind of why people hold on to stuff that they don't even need, because there were actually some things that were at my parents' house that were a little more important, as far as sentimental value and whatever. I have not been able to find them, and the idea occurred to me that because my parents accumulated way too much stuff, we weren't able to keep track of the things that were important. Now, my parents' house was clean, um, but they had all these boxes of stuff just shoved into like every nook and cranny, and like in the pantry downstairs. I'm gonna tell you something. I lived in that house. I grew up in that house. I hadn't lived in it in 40 years, but I'd been in it. And I'd been in the pantry. And then when, my son and his dad were clearing things out of there, they found kind of like this hidden bookcase, but it wasn't a cool hidden bookcase like, Harry Potter or something, and leading to a really cool like hidden passageway or something, and there's a treasure or something. It was just a bookcase with books, of course, and we're just like, why? And because of my back, I wasn't able to get in there and do much with it. But my son um, got in there, and he passed the books to his father to box them. And um, he was like, it was so claustrophobic in there. He had to, pivot around in order to give the books to his father. There was just no room for them to like work side by side like you could with a regular bookcase. So it's just something to use. Oh, oh, look into the psychology of holding on to items that have outlived their usefulness and then accumulating more. And that's something I really need to do. And with that, I am going to wrap this up. I hope reading was helpful, entertaining, informative, whatever. And, wishing you peace. And we'll see you at the full moon.